Hey everybody, this is Andre here with the Kevin Breeze channel, and in this video, we're going to be doing a comparison between the Samsung Galaxy A71 and the Apple iPhone 12. To get more information about the pricing and availability of these devices, definitely check the links in the description below. The link for the Samsung Galaxy A71 is actually going to take you right to the phone on Samsung's website, where a lot of the time you can find some great trade-in deals that you might not be able to find anywhere else. That being said, let's get started. So the Samsung Galaxy A71 has a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 1080p, a PPI of 393, and an aspect ratio of 20:9. We have a hole punch front-facing camera here that looks really nice, and this camera is 32 megapixels. The iPhone 12 has a 6.1-inch OLED display with a resolution of 1170 by 2532, a PPI of 460, an aspect ratio of 19.5:9, and an 86% screen-to-body ratio. There's a bit of a notch right here, and the front-facing camera is right in here, and this camera is 12 megapixels. So as far as quality, these displays are really similar, but the main difference here is the Samsung Galaxy A71, as you can clearly see, is much larger, and the iPhone is going to have a little bit better quality display with a higher resolution. So it really comes down to which one is more important to you. Do you want a larger display with less quality, or a smaller display with slightly higher quality? Now, other factors also come into play. Whether or not you like a large display or a small one is also a factor. As far as the front-facing camera goes, I do like the look of the Samsung Galaxy A71's camera a little bit better. I think with the iPhone, that notch there is similar to a water drop notch, which even though this is much different because an iPhone has a very iconic, very recognizable design, it is a little bit different, but at the same time, it doesn't look quite as modern as the hole punch front-facing camera on the Samsung Galaxy A71. So that is something that I noticed there. Other than that, I think both displays do look really good. And I would say that size is definitely one of the more important factors when considering these two. Now internally, the Samsung Galaxy A71 has 128 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion, and the iPhone 12 has 64 gigabytes of internal storage with no microSD card expansion. Now keep in mind, the iPhone also has other variants that come with 128 gigabytes and 256 gigabytes. So that is something to keep in mind, but also those different variants are quite a bit more expensive as well. For the sake of this comparison, this model does have 64 gigabytes, and in that case, the Samsung Galaxy A71 does have double the storage with microSD card expansion, so clearly this phone is going to have an advantage over the iPhone. If you have lots of larger apps like games and that sort of thing, or if you have a lot of photos and videos, or a mix of both, then this is definitely going to be something to think about. Having more storage is always going to be a good thing. And even though the iPhone's storage isn't too bad, I usually consider 64 gigabytes to be a good minimum, to the point where it's not going to be a problem, but it isn't really that great either. Whereas the Samsung Galaxy A71 storage at 128 gigabytes is double that of the iPhone 12. So I do think that that is quite a bit better. Now the Samsung Galaxy A71 doesn't have wireless charging, unfortunately, but the iPhone 12 does. I do wish the Samsung Galaxy A71 did have wireless charging, because even though it's not quite a flagship phone, it is definitely getting up there. It's more of a high-level, mid-range phone. And I think that those phones really should have wireless charging, because it doesn't seem like it's that special of a feature. But in any case, it is nice that the iPhone does have wireless charging. Now, one thing the Samsung Galaxy A71 has that the iPhone 12 doesn't have is a fingerprint scanner. Both of these phones have Face Unlock, but unfortunately the iPhone doesn't have a fingerprint scanner. They used to back in the day, but they did take it away starting with the newer models. It is nice to have both. With the Samsung Galaxy A71, if you can't use Face Unlock for whatever reason, there are many situations in this day and age where Face Unlock simply isn't convenient. So the fingerprint scanner is nice to have in that situation, so you don't have to type in a PIN or a passcode as Apple calls it. Now taking a look at the camera setups here, the Samsung Galaxy A71 has a 64 megapixel rear camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. The iPhone 12 has a 12 megapixel rear camera and a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. Now these are pictures taken by the rear cameras of each phone. This one was taken by the Samsung Galaxy A71. It is really good quality. I do like the colors of the subject. I do think the colors in the background are a little bit distorted, but I really like how the focus is and how sharp the image is as well. This is the picture taken by the iPhone. I do think this one is quite a bit better. The image is a lot more sharp and the colors are more normal looking and more balanced. But overall, they are definitely good. I would say if you're taking pictures for more professional purposes and really do need the best quality possible, the iPhone is going to have the advantage there. These pictures were taken by the ultra-wide cameras of each phone. First of all, I think the iPhone is a little bit wider. And also, again, with the colors, I do think the colors are more accurate and better looking with the iPhone. Whereas with the Samsung Galaxy A71, it does have a little bit of an extra tint to it that I don't really care for. At the same time, it still does look pretty good, just not quite as good as the iPhone 12. Now, these are images taken with the front-facing cameras. Again, I do think the iPhone is a little bit better quality, but that being said, the Samsung Galaxy A71 isn't bad either. The difference is there's a little bit more of a glare. The exposure is a little bit more intense with the Samsung Galaxy A71, whereas it's handled a little bit better with the iPhone 12. The shadows look more bold and just better overall, and the colors are more normal looking. And if you look really closely, the image is a bit sharper and the detail is better. But for all intents and purposes, for practical use, I do think the Samsung Galaxy A71 is just fine. And if you're not using the phone for professional purposes and really taking serious photos that you actually need to use for stuff, then I don't think you need anything more than the Samsung Galaxy A71, because even for stuff like social media, even if your social media pictures are more important if you're using social media for business purposes, I don't think the Samsung Galaxy A71 is bad. As far as video goes, the Samsung Galaxy A71 is capable of shooting 4K in both the front and the rear, and the iPhone is as well. So the video quality is most likely going to be just the same as the difference in camera quality. It appears that the iPhone 12 does have just a little bit better quality as far as the camera goes, but at the same time, the Samsung Galaxy A71 still does have really good quality in the camera as well. Now internally, the Samsung Galaxy A71 is getting 6 GB of RAM with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 730 processor, and the iPhone 12 is getting 4 GB of RAM with the Apple A14 Bionic processor. We ran Geekbench 5 benchmark tests on both of these phones, and the Samsung Galaxy A71 came back with a single core score of 547 and a multi-core score of 1737, and the Apple iPhone 12 came back with a single core score of 1591 and a multi-core score of 4089. So you can see there's a huge difference here. In fact, the iPhone 12's single core score is almost as much as the Samsung Galaxy A71's multi-core score. So long story short, the iPhone 12 is going to be a lot faster than the Samsung Galaxy A71. That's not to say the Samsung Galaxy A71 is slow. In fact, quite the opposite. With the multi-core score of 1737, this phone is actually around the same speed as the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, or even a little bit better. And the Note 8 is a flagship phone and was among some of the fastest phones on the market at the time it was released. So you're not going to be getting a bad experience with the Samsung Galaxy A71. It's not a slow phone by any means, but that being said, there are a lot of apps these days that were designed for more powerful phones like the iPhone. So if you're running a more complicated video editing app, or if you're playing a more complex games, there are lots of games these days that are not designed for a phone like the Samsung Galaxy A71. You're definitely going to see that difference with the iPhone 12. But if you're doing basic activities like browsing the web and going on social media, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. Now, as far as the battery goes, the Samsung Galaxy A71 has a 4500 mAh battery, and the iPhone 12 has a 2815 mAh battery. Now, this is a huge difference. On one hand, with the Samsung Galaxy A71, we're getting a huge battery that's going to last a really long time, not only per charge, but also over the years as the battery degrades, it's not going to be as noticeable because the battery is so big. But on the other hand, we have the iPhone 12 that has a very small battery. And by small, I mean I reviewed the most entry-level track phone I could find, and that phone had a bigger battery than this iPhone. So there's a huge difference here. Not only is the iPhone going to be getting much smaller battery life per charge, but also the longevity is not going to be very good. As the battery degrades over time, you're definitely going to notice it a lot more. Whereas with the Samsung Galaxy A71, it's not really going to be that noticeable. This is definitely something to take into consideration when you're considering the prices of these phones. Neither of these are very cheap. I would say the iPhone is quite a bit more expensive, but still, neither of these are really low-end phones. The Samsung Galaxy A71 is not a low-end phone at all, but at the same time, it does have a very powerful battery that's going to last a long time, whereas with the iPhone, it's a very high-end phone, and that battery is probably not going to last very long in comparison to the battery of the Samsung Galaxy A71. Now, in conclusion, which one of these phones is better? I would say if we're considering specs with everything except a couple details, the iPhone 12 is going to be the better device. Not only does it have a faster processor, but it has a more powerful camera and a higher quality display as well. But on the other hand, the Samsung Galaxy A71 isn't really that far behind. It also does have a powerful processor that in most cases is going to do anything you want it to do. In addition to that, it does have a very large display, maybe not as high quality as the iPhone, but when you're doing something like content consumption, if you're streaming videos, having a large display is going to help, and the quality of the display is still really good. This phone also has a fingerprint scanner, which is really nice for the convenience factor, and a much more powerful battery than the iPhone 12. And even though the iPhone camera is much better, the Samsung Galaxy A71 still does have a really good camera. So it really comes down to how important the better features on the iPhone are to you. Do you really want that much more processing power and a better camera to the point where you're willing to give up some storage space and pay a lot more money for it? Because not only is the Samsung Galaxy A71 quite a bit less expensive, but it also has double the storage space of this level iPhone, as well as a more powerful battery. So it does come down to your needs. But if you want to learn more about pricing and availability that might help you with your decision, definitely check the links in the description. The link for the Samsung Galaxy A71 is actually going to take you right to the phone on Samsung's website, where a lot of the time they have some great trade-in deals that you might not be able to find anywhere else, and that might help you make your decision. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.